Today, we're talking about signs of growth for the Chicago Bulls as we're going to take a look at some players that have taken a bit of a step forward this season. And so, before we go ahead and we jump into it, I first want to remind you to slam dunk on that subscribe button, just like Matas Buzelis slam dunks in games. And so, in exchange for slamming on that subscribe button, I'm going to give you nothing but daily content around the Chicago Bulls. And so, make sure that you hit that like, you hit that subscribe, and you join the Chicago Bulls Insider family as we talk nothing but Chicago Bulls basketball. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and let's jump into it as we are talking about signs of growth here for the Chicago Bulls and just looking at some players that I think have quietly taken a bit of a step forward this season. And so starting with Matas Buzelis, I think that he has taken a bit of a step forward this season because when you look at the points, first of all, you will see that he has gone up in year number two. So up from the 8.6 points to 14.9. He is the full-time starter here. He was not last season. And so it's always good to see a jump in a category. And so starting with the points, you're seeing it there. And I think that Matas Buzelis really has a chance to come on more as a scorer, especially when you look at his free throw percentage, because right now it's down to 77.2%, but he's getting to the free throw line a little bit more than he was a season ago. And I think that that is going to be key for Matas Buzelis to take his scoring up some more. He's going to have to get to the free throw line, make teams pay there. And also he's going to have to get to a mid-range shot, I think, at some point to be just really a three-level scorer. I think that that's where you're going to start to see him get into the 20s and the 30 points a game. And so Matas Buzelis taking some steps here, but I think that that is probably what he is going to have to work on. And then just looking at some stuff that he is certainly good at with the block shots. And so that has gone up from 0.9 to 1.4 blocks. And I think that Matas Buzelis is really only scratching the surface to what he can do as a shot blocker. I really do believe that once he gets it down defensively and he becomes a little bit better on ball, I think that the blocks are going to go up there as well. Because right now, he is a player that can certainly come from behind and get the blocks. You know, if you're coming at him, he'll get blocks that way too. But I do think that more comes once he gets better defensively, but still you're seeing some growth there. The assist, 1.7 assists up from the 1. I think that this is probably going to go up once he starts to get the ball in his hands a little bit more. You know, right now he's playing off Josh Giddey and these guards, but at some point in time, you know, maybe in the season, maybe Billy Donovan is going to want to have him with the ball in his hands some more. The rebounding at 5.3 rebounds a game, so up from the 3.5. I think that that's something he could get better at too as well, is hitting the boards. You know, a little bit of a cause of concern here is the three-point percentage has gone down a little bit. So down from 36.1 to 34.9 coming out of the NBA draft. I think that that was one of the bigger questions for Matas Buzelis was, could he knock down the three ball? And so his shot looks good, and I think he takes it with confidence. I think it's just more so just continuing to trust the work, and I think that he's going to start to see the percentages go up again. But I do like the fact that his field goal percentage is up, and so up to 48.5% from the 45.4% a season ago. And so I think that the biggest thing with Matas Buzelis is he's getting more into the paint, especially with his athleticism and getting these dunks and things like that. And so I think that that is probably going to be key for Matas Buzelis to do stuff like this, come off the ball, catch these lobs, get in the transition, because he shows that he can be dangerous like that. And so Matas Buzelis has taken a bit of a step forward. And also, too, Josh Giddey as well. And so I know that Josh Giddey has been out, you know, the last couple of weeks with the hamstring, but make no mistake about it. I mean, Josh Giddey is certainly trending towards an all-star level. And so, you know, if he gets to it this season, you know, it'd be great, but I know it's going to be tough because he's been out, but he certainly has taken a jump from year one with the Chicago Bulls. And so up to 19.2 points a game. And I think one of the bigger things with Josh Giddey is that his three-point percentage is climbing. And so I think that that right there has made it to where, you know, now defenses can't just sit back and let him shoot that. They're going to have to honor that, which has opened it up more in the lane. I think he's added a spin move to his game. I think at some point Josh Giddey needs to maybe get to a turnaround, and maybe be able to post players up that way with his size. I think that he would be able to probably increase the points more, maybe even get to the free throw line more. But still, right now, you're seeing some good growth here from Josh Giddey. I expect to see some more once we see him back. Right now, his assist totals up to 9. They're up from 7.2 a season ago. And then also, too, his rebounds are slightly up as well to 8.9. And so those really are his superpower, the rebounding, the assist. And so it's always good when you see that up. And his field goal percentage is slightly up from a season ago, too. And so 46.6 up from the 46.5. And remember, much like Matas Buzelis, and these players that we're going to talk about, there's still a lot of season left to go. And so, those are two of the younger players, I think, with the Chicago Bulls that have taken a step forward quietly. Next, a player that has certainly taken a step forward for this team has been Ayo Dosunmu. Look, I think that Ayo Dosunmu, he has made it to where, look, if the Bulls, if they move Kobe White, then I think that at this point in time, then yes, they would feel comfortable going with Ayo Dosunmu because he has played extremely well off the bench. I think he's shown that he could certainly start for you as well. But what I like is just his ability to knock down the three ball right now. And so Ayo is hitting it at a career high clip right now. So 45%. And so that has been great because we already know that Ayo Dosunmu can get downhill, but the fact that he is stretching defenses and knocking down the three ball, look, he's made it tough on defenses that way. And his free throw percentage has been up there as well. He's shooting a career high there at 86.7%. And so 14.5 with the points. And so that has gone up. The assist down slightly to 3.5. And so I could see that could go up a little bit more, especially if you have to thrust him into the starting lineup. But look, he has been a huge part of this bench unit, which is one of the top in the NBA. And Ayo came in motivated here, but I think that he has quietly taken another step forward. And this is a player that continues to really step up in adjusted roles. And so Ayo Dosunmu has quietly taken a step forward in the growth department as well. Next, look, I think that this guy is probably one of the best free agent signings out of this last offseason, and that is Tre Jones. And so Tre Jones has been huge for the Chicago Bulls. I think that this was a terrific value signing here in free agency by bringing back Tre Jones. And I think that, number one, he's done it defensively for this team. And I think that at one point he was up there as far as tops in steals. Right now with his points, this is the second best average that he's had in his career at 11.9 points. And so finding ways to score. And what you love about Tre Jones is it's not just shooting the three ball. And so, in fact, the percentages for him this season, 26%, which is actually a career low, but he's still finding ways to get to the free throw line. He's finding ways to make difficult layups, get the steals, get out into transition. He's shooting 52% from the field, and he's getting the assist. And so this is the second best career totals at the assist right now for him at 5.5. He was at 6.2 in the 23-24 season. And so he still has some season to go. And so I think that Tre Jones has shown some growth here in year number 2 with the Chicago Bulls because he's showing he can be a starter. He's showing he can come off the bench. But also, too, he's settled in very nicely because I think that initially, when him, Kevin Huerter, Zach Collins got here, we're talking about maybe flipping those players, but I think that Tre Jones has been a solid addition to this team. And talking about a player that really has just increased his possible trade value, like I think that a lot of teams now become interested in Tre Jones because he's under a team-friendly contract. He's playing extremely well. There's teams out there that want a point guard. And so wouldn't be surprised if there is more noise around Tre Jones going into the NBA trade deadline. But I think he's certainly taken a step forward. Next, also too, with Zach Collins and then also to Kevin Huerter, I think that they have shown that they can be rotational pieces on your team. And I think that this is really going to lead to an interesting decision here for the Chicago Bulls really, do you trade these players? Do you hold on to them? What are you going to do? Are you going to be a buyer? Are you going to be a seller? I think it becomes a lot more difficult as Kevin Huerter continues to look a lot like he did when he was with the Atlanta Hawks. I say that all the time. He's looking like that, pretty much game after game. And then with Zach Collins, look, I think that he's given the chance now to show his physicality. He's showing his versatility as well. And for a team that is trying to figure out what they're going to do at the center position, I think it is very clear that they are going to have a reset of some kind. I think that Zach Collins, you feel comfortable with, along with Jalen Smith, who I think is another player that has quietly stepped up here for the Chicago Bulls, has been Jalen Smith. Been very impressed with them. But, all three of those players, man, showing that they can be solid rotational pieces here. And so anyway, you guys let me know in the comments here what you guys are thinking. Again, we were talking about Ayo Dosunmu, just really how good he is doing this season, taking a career leap in some categories. We also talked about Matas Buzelis and Josh Giddey, some of our younger players taking steps forwards here this season. And so I'd love to hear what you guys are thinking. I know that there is a lot of trade rumors out there, and certainly we will talk about that some more. But look, with 38 games in, this team is currently 10th in the Eastern Conference at the time of this podcast recording. Always like to talk about some of the signs of growth that we're seeing with this team, because regardless of what you are trading for or what you're doing with this team, these younger pieces that you're invested in, you really need to see some signs of growth as you continue to build, because if you're not seeing that, then that would mean that this team would have to pivot. And so good signs that we're seeing, from these players. Let's see if they can continue to keep it going as the season goes along. And who knows, maybe a massive shakeup coming for this team at the NBA trade deadline. So anyway, you guys let me know in the comments what you are thinking. And as we always say, look, go Bulls, and I will see you on the next one. All right, peace.